Alright, kiddos, so last night I asked you page 141 and then 9 through 12, yes?
Yes.
Okay, so it's number 9, letter A. You should have part. And letter B, you should have percent. Number 10, letter A, you should have 288. And letter B, 14,976. For number 11, $45.60. And then for number 12, the tax is $1.60. So then the total would be $41.60. Foggy when I drove in this morning. I left the house at 6:40. I got here at 7, and it wasn't foggy then.
When I got on the bus,
It wasn't. Questions? Okay, get a packet off the back table. We're doing 3-3 today, which is the percent equation. Alright, so today we're going to talk about the percent equation. Monday and Tuesday we talked about the percent proportion. The percent proportion where we have part over whole equals percent over 100. So we have our ratio is equal to, our part to whole ratio is equal to our percent ratio. Today we're going to focus on the percent equation. Okay? So the percent equation is part is equal to the percent times the whole. Your percent must be written as a fraction or a decimal. Okay? So we can't multiply a percent times a number. We have to make sure that it's in an actual numerical value, which is a fraction or a decimal. Okay? So whenever we solve these problems, I don't care if you set up a proportion. I don't care if you use the percent equation. I just like to introduce both to you so you can make the choice. Okay? Some people will like the equation better than the proportion. Some people like the proportion better than the equation. It just depends on your personal preference. So again, the percent equation is part is equal to the percent times the whole. So we're going to go ahead and get started with example number 1. In science class, students compared their vertical reach and the height to see if they are proportional. Maria is 60 inches tall and can reach 75 inches high, what percent of her total vertical reach is her height? So if we're going to use our percent equation, we're going to say that part is equal to the percent times the whole. So part is equal to the percent times the whole. What's the easiest part or the easiest piece of the equation to fill in? Well, how do you know what's the part and what's the whole? Do we know? Okay, so okay, so what we're talking and what we're saying is that we can rewrite it to find the part and the whole like we did on Monday. So could we say an is and of question? Can we rewrite it, write it that way? So 60 is what percent of 75? Could we rewrite that? Okay, so if we say that, then that means that 60 is, so 60 is the part, and then 75 would be the whole. Okay? So 60 is some percent of 75. So here's our question. What percent of 75 is 60? Okay. So, we don't know our percent, correct? What can we replace that with?
Variable.
X, a variable, right? So 60 equals X times 75. X is being multiplied by 75. So what's the opposite of multiplying by 75? Dividing by 75. So we divide both sides by 75. So we get X is equal to, calculators at the ready, we did get a decimal, you're right. I got that. Okay? What does that mean? Huh?
That's the percent.
That's our percent, right? But that's not written as a percent. So what do we have to do, Abriella?
Move the decimal place.
We have to move the decimal place. We got to convert this decimal into a percent. How do I convert a decimal into a percent? Not divide by 100. We multiply by 100. But our shortcut is what? Okay, so when we have to convert from a decimal to a fraction, we multiply by 100. Okay, when we multiply 100, we actually scoop 2 to the right. Sound familiar? Okay, so we have to scoop 1, 2. What goes in this hole?
0.
A 0. So this is actually 80%. So her height is 80% of her vertical reach. Yes, dear? You forgot?
Yeah.
Oh. That was a long time.
No, I got it. All right.
Okay.
So if you type in E in a calculator, how come all of it just goes crazy? Like you'll have the problem and then you type in E and it goes crazy.
Okay, here we go. Here's our next one. An elephant weighs 15,000 pounds on Earth and 2,500 pounds on the moon. Assuming the weights are proportional,
She's very smart. She knows how to play the game.
Okay, assuming the weights are proportional, so that means it doesn't matter how much you weigh on the Earth, we're gonna weigh the same proportional on the moon. So that's a proportional relationship. It's gonna be consistent, correct? It's gonna have the same K value. So assuming the weights are proportional, what percent of its weight on Earth is its weight on the moon? Okay, so here's our problem. What percent of its weight on Earth is its weight on the moon? Okay, so think about our is and our of. Is means part, of means whole. Okay, so of its weight on Earth, of means whole, so that means we're going to use our whole is going to be 15,000 pounds. So that's why this 15,000 is right here. Is its weight on the moon? So is means the part. So what goes right here? 2,500. So we can go ahead and put this up on here. Okay? So P is being multiplied by 15,000. What's the inverse of multiplying by 15,000? Dividing by 15,000. So I divide by 15,000 on the left and on the, very good. So again, don't forget, whatever you gotta do, make your upside down T if you have to show dividing on the left and dividing on the right. 15 and 15 cancels each other out. So then we have to do 2,500 divided by 15,000. What'd you get? It's a very long decimal?
That's repeating.
A repeating decimal? Yes? Okay, so we got this. Yes?
Yes.
Okay, so if we multiply by 100, So then we move this out. 1, 2, we get 16.6666 dot 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 dot. What are we gonna round this to, you think? About 17, right? So that means that our relationship for our weight is y equals 0 and 17 thousandths x. That's our weight on the moon. Okay? So this is our weight on Earth. So then this would be our weight on the moon. So it's a proportional relationship. You can find your weight on the moon by using this relationship. Okay. So, if someone weighs 200 pounds, okay, so that would mean y equals 17 hundredths times 200, and y would be their weight on the moon. Okay? Because it's proportional, we weigh 17% of our original weight on the moon. I'm going to go to the moon. Seems like a good place to go. No? Huh?
What if like
It'd probably be really cold up there, though.
what if like one day we'll have like contact with other life? We can
Oh, jeez, here we
go
go.
over to their place if you ever want to. Like yeah.
Yeah, not doing it. Not going there.
Star Wars.
All right. Many states have a meal tax that is proportional to the total spent on food and beverages. In one state, the meal tax is 8 and 44/100%. How much tax will a customer pay if the food and beverage total is $54? So if we're thinking about our percent equation, part is equal to the percent times the whole. Do we know the percent? Yeah, the percent is, okay, so our percent is going to be this. How did I know that that's my percent? I have to move my decimal to the left. How much are we paying for our meal? Is that all we're paying for our meal? That's our total bill, correct? So if we're saying a total of something, is that all of it? Yeah, so that's going to be our whole. So we're going to multiply that times 54. Our part is going to be our tax that we're paying on the meal. If you sit in a restaurant, you pay tax. If you get it to go, you don't pay tax. There are certain items that you do pay tax on and that you don't pay tax on.
Yeah, why is that? Why do they pass on like something but then others don't?
I think it's because of the establishment, so they're paying. So if you eat in, you're basically paying to use, you're being taxed to use the facility. So like to sit at the table and stuff, you know what I mean?
So how come you tax like when you go to store?
So we have a sales tax. In Ohio we have sales tax. Some states don't have sales tax, they just have income tax. It's very, very, very weird.
Yeah, I hate that. I'll find something for $20 and then $20 and then one is $2 or $3 food.
Right, yep. Okay. So, when we multiply, how much are we paying, how much tax are we paying on our food bill? Okay.
So we run out of $4.
Okay, so when I multiply 844 ten thousandths, right? That's 10 thousandths, tens, hundreds, thousands, 10 thousandths, times 54, I get that my tax is equal to 4 and 5,576 ten thousandths. Have you ever seen this amount of money? No, we haven't seen this amount of money because we round to the hundredth spot. So when we round to the hundredth spot, we look to the thousandth spot. If this is 0, 1, 2, 3, or 4, what happens to 5? It stays the same. If this is 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9, what happens to the 5? It rounds up. So $4.56 is the tax. Okay. So not only are we paying the $54, but we're also paying that 8 44/100% tax. So we're actually going to end up paying how much for our meal? $54 or $58.56. Okay. So that was a problem that we did with tax. Let's do another one like that. Let's just make one up. Okay. How much will they pay in tax? Okay, Jack and Jill are eating in a restaurant with a 6 and 7,500% tax. If their bill is $25.10, how much will they pay in tax? Okay. So think about your percent equation. And try to solve this problem for me. You can just doodle on the side or, somewhere. Draw a line underneath it, something like that. Okay so far?
Yep.
So your percent is 6 75/100ths. So I divided that by 100 or moved it, 1, 2. And then I multiplied the percent times the total bill. So my tax is $1.69. That's pretty good for making that up on top of my head. Nice and clean. I like it. Alright. Okay. So Jane earns 5.5% commission on the selling price of each home she sells. She earns $9,020 in commission on the sale of the home. What is the selling price of the home? Anyone know what commission is? Okay, so instead of a salary, so you get paid the same thing all the time, like every 2 weeks. Some businesses and some companies have their employees work on commission. So when you sell a home, you get a certain percent of the home's value. That's how much you get paid. People who sell furniture sometimes get commission. People who sell insurance, people who sell cars. So they might get a base salary of $25,000. But then they have to hustle to make the rest of their money, right? So that's what some companies do. So instead of a salary, they get a percent of every transaction that occurs under their name. So it's like when you sell things for school. You get $2 for every butter braid you sell. Or, you know what I'm saying? Okay, and that goes to your band account. Or, sometimes people do Chipotle fundraisers. Okay? So the lacrosse team is doing a Chipotle fundraiser. They get 20% of the sales of their Chipotle fundraiser tonight. So anyone that goes into Chipotle and says, hey, I'm here to support Keystone Lacrosse, they get 20% of their sale. Okay? So that's what commission is, and that's how people earn their money. So Jane earns this much on this value of the house. Is that very much? No. So what would this be considered?
The price of the house.
Okay, but in our percent equation, what would this be considered?
Selling home.
The whole, right? And then this would be considered the part. And that part is 5.5%. So if we're looking at part is equal to the percent times the whole, the part is actually her commission. Her percent is 5.5%, and the whole value is the price of the home. So how much commission did she earn? Are you sure you don't know? What are we looking for? We're looking for our home. We're looking for the price of the home, right? We know that she earns this. So we have to find the whole. So 55 thousandths is being multiplied by x. What's the inverse of multiplying by 55 thousandths? So I'm going to do my upside down t, and I'm going to divide both sides by 55 thousandths. My 55 thousandths cancels, I'm left with x. 164,000?
Um,
So she sells a house for 164,000. She earns $9,000 of that.
So what commission was she just in that for that house? Or-
Just for that house.
So when continues to go with her paycheck?
So that's just a one-time into her bank account, $9,020.
So is it-
So then the next house she sells, she earns the same commission, but the house could be a different price. So if the next house she sells is $225,000, she would take 225,000, multiply that by her commission percent. And then, so for a $225,000 house, she'd earn $12,375.
Okay, so it's not the same price.
No.
every time, it's the
So
same-
every house she sells is not. She doesn't get $9,020. It depends on the price of the house. So if she only sells a $100,000 house, she's gonna make $5,000 on it.
So how did she get her percent?
It's calculated by the company. Okay, so as she starts out, she might start making 3%. If she, as she moves up in the company, as she's got more experience, she might, get up to 5.5%, maybe 6% for every house she earns, or for every house she sells. So it does. It just depends, and then it depends on the area. Like, you're probably not going to make as much money selling houses in LaGrange as you would if you were selling houses in New York City. Right? Totally different market. Okay? Our medium home price is probably between $100,000 and $200,000 here. If you just take, maybe the township. In New York City, we're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions of dollars, for property in New York City, right? So the commissions are going to look a little bit different. I'm pretty sure that in Ohio, they're probably all comparable. Might be a little bit higher in your Strongsville or your Solon or, Cincinnati, the outskirts of Cincinnati, the outskirts of Columbus. But they're probably all about relative. But when you go into LA, New York, Miami, Las Vegas, Chicago, Houston, Washington, D.C., those markets are going to be a little bit different. All right, to make a profit, a clothing store sells jeans at 115% of the amount they paid for them. How much did the store pay for the jeans shown? This is how much the store paid for the jeans, correct? Okay. This is how much they're selling the jeans for. And we know that is 115%. This tag right here, what do you think that means? How much you're selling them for. Okay, so is that all what the store paid for them? No. So when we look at our part to whole, the part is actually what they're selling them for. The whole is what they actually bought them for. That wasn't good English, don't tell anyone. So they sold them for $28. they're selling them for 115% of what they bought them. Stores always do that, right? They gotta make a profit. You buy low, sell high. Okay? So why did I do 1 and 1500ths here? Because I had to move my decimal place, right? So I do my upside down T. 1 and 1500ths is being multiplied by X, so what's the inverse? Dividing. Are you guys continuing to see why we switched books? Why we did equations first and now we're going back to this? Because we're using equations over and over and over when we're solving. I know it was a pain in the butt, but there's a method to my madness, right? Yep, you get a decimal. Okay. And we're going to round it to the nearest hundredth because we're looking at money, right? So how much did the store buy the jeans for? Danica? Very good, $24.35. All right, so your practice problems tonight. I want you to do page 153. And I want you to do 7 through 13. Okay, so page 153, 7 through 13.